Hi, everyone. This is Shannon Port, and I welcome you to this week's Art of the Feminine podcast. It's Friday, September 21st, and we are here today to talk about the Aries Full Moon, which is happening on September 24th and 25th. And we're also going to talk about the Libra Equinox. And so, two big events in one video, and I'm really looking forward to talking about these energies because they complement each other so much, and we have some really powerful and fun things to talk about. And so, oh, wonderful! I'm glad to see people coming on. Yay! It's so good to see everyone. So I did not announce the live stream today on my Facebook page or my personal page, and I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to let people know the time. But I want to say that if you're joining us every week, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, the notification bell, and you will get notifications as to what time we're doing the live stream, also when new videos go up. And also, if for any reason we don't meet on Friday, sometimes Saturday might be an option too, sometimes Thursday. But so far, we're doing pretty well on Friday. So it's so great to be here. I also want to say that sometimes after the live stream, I'll go back and I will look at some of the chat that I didn't see while it was happening, and sometimes I miss questions. There was a few big ones last week that I did not see, and I just wanna say I was not avoiding them, but I didn't see them, and so go ahead and ask them again, and I usually just try to touch in and get as many of them as I can. So welcome. I wanna also say in the description box of this video is a link to building the inner temple. And and you can find that link, and it's the Art of the Feminine Akashic Insight newsletter that I do every month, but it's a special edition. It's called Building the Inner Temple, and it's really about the potency of the Libra equinox. And it talks it's kind of a more poetic writing about it rather than actual practical ways to build the inner temple, but it's meant to kind of just stimulate your creativity and your psyche and open your heart to understand what the equinox really is and how that temple is built on a foundation of equilibrium, harmony, balance, and it's truly the art of our soul. And so, um, please check that out if you're interested. And also have all the information about mentoring. As you know, I'm getting ready to start a new cycle, taking applicants, interviewing through the end of this month, through September, and a little bit into October. That information is in that letter as well. And so, welcome. We are going to talk about something that I feel like is really sometimes it's hit or miss. Sometimes when we talk about Aries, we always think of the self. When we are talking about Aries, oftentimes you'll hear astrologers, artists, poets, whoever is talking about Aries, talk about Aries as being a little self-centered, all about me, all about charging forward in the name of personhood, in the name of the individual. And that's true in a way because Aries is about the self and it is about the individual in the truest sense of the word. It's about the individual. Today, we are going to talk about the archetype of Aries as the warrior of light. And so I titled the video The Warrior of Light and Love. And so also a lot of times in the truth movements, you'll hear people saying, "Oh, well, this isn't all about light and love on this planet." And some of the new age movements have really preached love and light, light and love, and that it's all light and love, and we just disappear into light and love, and everything will be okay. Turning our back on some of the real situations involving pain, suffering, inequality on our planet. But me too. I'm glad you made it too. But today we're going to talk about Aries in the higher octave of its true meaning, which is the I am. Aries is the fire. It's primordial fire, and it's the power of the I am in form. Aries is the archetype, the emperor. The emperor is key 4, and the emperor represents the cross of matter. It's the number 4. If you know sacred geometry or anything about numerology and numbers, 4 is the number of the cross. It's one of its geometric symbols. It represents the cross of matter, and therefore it represents our crucifixion, the spirit being crucified on matter, in matter. And that is really our journey here, is that we are spirit. We've come into this dense physical reality, and we are, through our inner wisdom, through our art, through our relationships, through our power and our courage as individuals, through our connecting with our innermost being, our true self, our I am, our Atman, our Christ consciousness. We are beginning that process of remembering that we are not just a person in matter, but that we are the link between the above and the below. And we're going to talk about the axis of Aries and Libra because it's one of the really powerful ones for showing that. Um, Aries represents the self, the I am, and Libra, we talked a lot about Libra last video, but we'll also talk about the Libra Equinox. Libra represents the heart and the art the art of relationships, the art of being in form. Once we enter into form, we have to act with all our other parts. We're billions of parts broken up. We're one broken up into the many, and we have to have relationships. We talk about that a lot at Art of the Feminine, but relationships are the key because relationships give us that alchemy that we need to do our polarity integration and to learn about ourselves. I work with, one of the big things I do in mentoring is I work with love relationships and work with, just working out some of the bumps along the road and working with some of the huge patterns that we all carry. Patterns, we all have patterns in our subconscious mind, come through our DNA, through our genetic lineage, as well as some of our karma, things that we've taken on that we haven't resolved. But relationships are the platform for working those out. So we're going to look at Aries and Libra. So let's talk about some of the action. Oh, I know. I also want to say, hey is the letter, the Hebrew letter for the emperor. The emperor is the archetype of Aries for this Aries full moon. Hey is the Hebrew letter. Hey represents, and I find this to be so powerful to really look deeply into it. Hey, we think of the sacred name Yod He Vav He, Yod He Vav He. He is the above supernal divine mother, and He is the earth mother. So He in Yod He Vav He represents the higher feminine and the lower feminine. We have these two. We have the supernal trinity and we have the lower, but we have which is merges through the Star of David. We have this very masculine archetype, Aries, and the emperor being representing this letter Hey, which is so feminine, and it's Hashem, and it's like a feminine force of God. When we look at Aries, it represents spirit hitting matter, the Christ consciousness becoming form. That's the crucifixion onto the cross. And so, right there, we show that embodiment of the masculine coming into form is truly the container holding the higher feminine and the lower feminine. And it's really deep. If you can just meditate on that. It shows that men and women in this world are the sacred chalice of the above and the below. And there's a very sacred link to the masculine with this as well. That's very powerful because the masculine on the planet within us and in the collective man, Adam, the collective Adam and the collective Eve is searching right now for clues as to how we can heal and integrate. We've got, we wandered far off our path and now we're finding our way back, which can be great fun. It takes a lot of love, but it takes a lot of art and it takes a lot of fun. So let's see, Emperor, Hey, Aries. We're talking about the head. We're talking about the sun is exalted in Aries. And we are talking about Mars, primordial fire. Mars rules Aries. That being said, we'll jump over to equinox. Equinox is in Libra. This is the Libra equinox. So we're talking about the Aries full moon and the Libra equinox. These are on the same axis. Aries and Libra represent the self and Libra represents marriage. It represents relationships. It represents the we. Aries, the me, Libra, the we. These are on this sacred axis, and they're both taking place within 2 days from each other. The equinox is tomorrow on Saturday, the 22nd. The Aries equinox or the Libra equinox, and I saw this today. I saw a video by a woman named Pam Gregory, and it was amazing. She's a wonderful astrologer. She was talking about the world axis point, and it really struck me today, that axis point. So that axis point is 0 degrees of the cardinal sign. So we have this Aries, this Libra equinox falling at 0 degrees of Libra. The world axis point highlights 0 degrees at all 4 of the cardinal signs, Capricorn, Aries, Libra, and Capricorn, Aries, Libra, and Cancer. And so we have the solstices and the equinox take place in these signs. That is very powerful because when we think about that, and this is what came in today that I want to share with you, the Aries, these portal points, 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, lights up the solar cross, which is the emperor, which is Aries. And what it does is that it lights up the solar cross that we're crucified to, this cross of matter. But I had this image of it beginning to spin the elements. When those points are lit up at the times in our solar year, when those things are, the procession of the equinoxes, those things are lit up. It's a power portal and a point into the energy and the momentum of the divine spiral of the feminine, which becomes our platform for our ascending consciousness, for ascension. And so I'm just going to check over here really quick. Oh, fun. Oh, nice to see you. Wonderful. So let's jump in. Let's look at the Aries full moon and then we'll jump back to the Libra equinox. So this Aries full moon, which is happening, I'm going to focus on a couple of the big things that I want to highlight today. Those are CHIRON conjunct the full moon. CHIRON at 0 degrees Aries on the world axis at 0 degrees Aries conjunct the full moon at 1 degrees of Aries, 1 degree of Aries. Chiron is opposing the sun and conjunct the moon at this full moon in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron, I called this a few videos back, the wounded warrior when it's in Aries. Chiron in Aries is that warrior wounded. It's the wounded healer warrior. And so in Aries, Chiron is teaching and learning about how we merge back with our I am, how we know that we're spirit. We cannot possibly be of real higher value in this world until we know who we are. Once we understand who we are and we taste it, it's a very it's something we have to experience. It's that saying, you can know what honey is, but you have to taste it to feel what sweet is. You have to have it on your taste buds. We have to taste our divine presence. These are portals. This full moon and this Libra equinox is a portal to just do just that. It's a portal, and I wrote about it in Building the Inner Temple. Why? It's a portal for that platform, harmony, beauty, equilibrium, going into the silence is what I mostly talked about, and tasting it so that you can rise back out of the silence and go into the world and share it. Huge on this Aries Libra equinox. Have to know the self to be in relationships, and we have to be in relationships to know the self. Okay, quick look over here. Yes. Oh, thank you. Mercury just entered Libra. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful conversations amplified on equality and peace. Thank you for sharing that So true. With Mercury in Libra at this time, yeah, that's what the conversations are going to be towards. We have so much happening in the world. So much is being revealed. I mean, the polarity between light and dark is huge, but I want to say about that, we have to have light and dark. We have to have, and so going back to, is it all love and light? We have to have light and dark to be in matter. We can't have matter without, in this dimension of matter, we cannot have matter or even art for that matter without shadow and light. So we just have to learn how to navigate it and use it. And that's what we're doing. Yes, we're going to talk about Saturn squaring. Okay, so next, that's where I want to go. So the other thing I want to talk about is that Saturn is squaring the moon, the sun, and Chiron. And so Saturn has been in Capricorn since the beginning of 2018. Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn is very at home in Capricorn. Saturn teaches us the hard lessons, but Saturn helps us create. And we can't make art without Saturn. We need the energy of Saturn. So, with this direct hit from Saturn, squaring the moon, squaring Chiron, squaring the sun, the lessons of this axis are so on the table right now. And in fact, they're really coming into kind of a culmination because it's a full moon. The light is being shown. And so, even for all the, I want to say this, that even for all the dark in the world right now, all of the challenges, and there's real things coming to light. These things have been on the planet since the beginning. They're not new. All of the atrocities we see, it's been happening since the beginning. Most of us that are in any work like this have an understanding that these things are ancient. The abuse we see, um, human sacrifice, all things, worshiping the negative forces, all things that rob from humanity by creating more ego, war, greed, all of that. It's been happening since the beginning of creation because when we got in matter, we had to start working it out. And so it's just that now with social media and with the awakening consciousness, we're realizing it, we're seeing it, and we're having to question it within ourselves. We're having to say, oh, I take part in this war. I take part in this human sacrifice. I sacrifice myself when I don't allow the flower of my heart to open, when I don't allow myself to operate from a place of integration, from forgiveness, compassion, beauty, truth, harmony, when I'm not being an artist, when I'm not really creating with all these God given elements that we have to create with, I'm selling out. And in a way, I'm sacrificing it all. I'm nailing myself to the cross of the ego. And that is so going now to Capricorn, the ego is represented in the archetype for Capricorn. The archetype for Capricorn is the devil. The devil is a really potent archetype because the devil represents what we get when we choose ego. When we choose ego, we get bondage. We absolutely get bondage. We chain ourselves. When you see the archetype, the rider waite, you see the subconscious and the conscious mind both chained to the cube, which is matter. And the devil laughing. And the devil is all about humor to begin with. And we're going to talk more about humor. We need it. But the devil is laughing because it's not real in the sense that we can walk away from it when we know who we are. It because we're so dense and because we carry a lot of genetic influence and our subconscious mind is filled with these patterns, we have to see them. And when I mentor with people, we work with these things. We go in and we look at these things and we're like, it becomes so real. When you see the patterns that you carry, they begin to dissolve and they begin to become the material for your art. And they're very powerful and very potent. This is the archetype of the devil. The devil, through Saturn and through Capricorn, brings spirit into matter. So we can see how that could be crucifying our beauty and our power if we come into matter without consciousness. Without consciousness, we're at the mercy of the elements. We're at the mercy of others who are trying to control us. If somebody figures out the game and wants to stay in the dark, they have free reign. There are universal laws, but if we're within matter, we consent to that. We give our power away. And so this full moon is saying, don't give your power away. take your power back. Understand the power of I am. Understand what Aries really means, that spirit hits the ground running, goes through the entire zodiac, finishes at Pisces, goes into the depths and ascends, and has integrated all of those elements of the psyche. The number 12 represents time and space. The number 12 governs the physical world. It's 3 times 4. And so 12 shows us we're in time. When we're in the law of 12, we're in time. Time is a false matrix that we've created. So we're getting way out in the esoteric stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about what's happening at the full moon. Then we'll jump back to the equinox. And I'm going to actually close out the video pretty soon. I'm going to try not to make these too long. I want to give more of the more on these aspects, and we'll talk about the final message, and then we'll close out. So yeah, the Chiron return is very potent. Okay, so Chiron is highlighted. Chiron conjunct this moon is showing that we have to heal our wounds to be the warrior. The wounded warrior has to wake up and heal his wounds. All of the, and I say his and her wounds, but all of the masculine energy that's out of balance, the war tribes and the politicians and these things that are used, they can be flipped and turned. They can be regenerated. We absolutely can regenerate these things. It's so nice to see you. And so, let's do it. Let's do it. Don't you know, we knew when we came into the world at this time that we were going to face a lot of different things. We knew it. And those of us that really know ourselves to be warriors of light, we know it. We've been talking about this forever. Well, this is our time. This is truly our time. I'm looking out right now on the fall is just starting to come in where I live. And there's just that first bit of leaves beginning to fall, and it's so beautiful and tranquil. It's like perfect timing for this equinox. And, it just shows that nature is always talking to us, it's always there. Nature is one of the portals into the inner temple, the great mother, and will help us build our inner temple. And so I just wanted to bring that in right now because she's showing it pretty strong right now. We have to heal relationships. So Chiron is opposing the sun. The sun is lighting up Libra. The sun is saying, all right, and now thank you for pointing out Mercury as well. We want to have conversations and we want to shine the light on Libra. Libra had Jupiter run through it, transit through it in the past year and a half. And now Jupiter's in Scorpio, but Libra. And then we had the Uranus Pluto square that was activating Libra for a few years. And Libra has really been strengthened. Now is the time at this equinox, the Libra equinox, take the time to understand who you are, what you're here to do, and really ask to be shown. That inner wisdom, that inner I am will show you where to go. All right. How do we want to finish this up? So Saturn, I wanted to say that Saturn, humor, good humor. And you know what's so funny? My deepest, wisest, most spiritual, most artistic friends have the greatest sense of humor. I mean, we can be crying literally about what's happening in our life or in someone's life or in people who we're working with. Like we can be crying real tears from the heart. And at the same time, really laugh out loud, like belly laugh about what's happening because there is a divine humor in all of this that we know on one level what we're here to do and that we can turn away for just a moment. Laughing is great power for healing too. Healing, I mean, laughing can heal diseases. Like people watch comedies to heal when they're in the hospital. When we laugh and when we have humor, the cosmic humor is the great solvent that breaks everything up. So we have to laugh. We have to laugh at some of our leaders. We have to now and then have humor and then reboot and then get back in and get busy doing what we're here to do. All right. I'm going to take a quick look over in just a minute and see if there's any specific questions. But other than that, we'll start to close out with the message. So the message that I want to say, we've talked about so many other planets and archetypes. This archetype is big. Libra is the Hebrew letter Lamed. It means to teach and to learn. It's a beautiful letter. The design of it is so beautiful. It shows the link between the upper and lower world. And it shows that our relationships, Libra, teach us and we teach them. Relationships are a platform for teaching as well as learning. That's Libra. The Hebrew letter lamed, the archetype is justice, and it's I sometimes say her name wrong. The goddess Ma'at, or Mat, the Egyptian goddess Mat, which is the scales, and it's the goddess of the heart, the wisdom of the heart. It has a lot to do with understanding our inner masculine and feminine, which is really what this axis of Libra and Aries is about. So the message here is really integrating our relationships with the truth of who we are. Some of us are more prone to lose ourselves in relationships. So on for those of us that are way too in the relationship, we need to reel it back into personal power. Some of us are way too much warriors, and we need to learn how to be a warrior for the whole and go back into the relationship, soften. And as we always say, listen. Listening, Lamed, Libra, L, is really the way we serve our relationships, knowing how to listen. Listen to ourself first and foremost, so we know that we're in the right place, and then listen to the person we're speaking with in relationship, which will always, their soul will open before you if you listen. Fastest way to shut someone down is to not listen. And it's a huge lesson to learn. One of the lessons that was part of my path, because I have such a quick paced talking nature, that listening is absolutely vital. So Libra teaches us how to listen. That opens the portal of this equinox. And then Aries, how to heal our wounded warrior, how to know, all of the some of the Eastern teachings, the Advaita teachings, the Zen teachings, many of the Eastern teachings are focused on I am. Just knowing the self. Some of them tend to reject a little bit more of the outer play. Not here. We don't do that. And I say this all the time. At Art of the Feminine, we embrace the relationships, we embrace the creative world. Absolutely. So we know I am, and then we know I am in the world as the other. That is the message of this moon. I'm going to get ready to close out. Thank you for all of you who joined me live today. And let me just see if there's anything big I want to say. So Aries is primordial fire. Oh, I wanted to say in the sacred name, Yod He Vav He. I'm sure many of you have heard when you activate the five-pointed star, the pentagram, it becomes Yod He Shin Vav He. Yod He Shin Vav He. Shin represents this power of Shakti, represents the power of the Christic force. And it's primordial, it's fire, it's the mother, it's the mind. And so when we're talking of Aries as primordial fire, that Shin is the great mediator between the above and the below. We need that fire, we need Aries, we need the Christic consciousness, the universal Christ consciousness in all beings. It's time for it to wake up. And for each person that wakes up, it starts to spread. It starts to spread, and we don't have to fight so hard. We just be it. And then we do our business, we do our work, we create our art, and and that's it. And so I think that's it. I think I'm going to start to close out. I want to say, again, check out Building the Inner Temple. There's some wisdom in that that's nice for this equinox. I want to wish you really beautiful equinox tomorrow. Happy Libra equinox to both those of us who are fall equinox and those of us in the southern hemisphere who are spring equinox. By the way, Aries is spring, so it represents in the solar year, it represents the Christic birth of that spirit in matter. And lighting up these equinox solstice points represents ascending the solar cross and bringing it back into the truth of who we are. And so that being said, I think I'll close out unless I see any last minute question. I think we'll close out. Join me next week, next Friday. I'm not sure what the topic is. I haven't looked yet, but subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and you'll get the notification for for the for the live stream, or also the Art of the Feminine Facebook page. I always post the links to everything we do here. So that being said, I wish you many, many blessings and happy Libra Equinox, and blessings at the Aries Full Moon. And until next time.